On today's episode of Titus and Tate, Alabama beat the number one team in the country again, Tate.
Again.
2 number one wins
Yes.
for the Crimson Tide. We are going to talk about that.
But have they beat the best team in the country?
Another great question. I don't know. You're very high on this Alabama team. I said not so fast. I unfortunately watched the North Carolina game, the end of the North Carolina game, and I was like, yes, they won, but at the same time, I would not classify that as great basketball. Yeah, did anybody actually win? But Alabama, big time statement. Dare I say a program win for the Crimson Tide. Now ranked 4th, I believe, in the new AP poll.
Above Houston.
That's right. Speaking of the new AP poll, and speaking of Houston and going to the moon, and Houston, I don't know, terrible segue. The new number 1 in your AP poll is once again the Purdue Boilermakers.
Oh my goodness.
It happened.
Coach Titus, where are you?
We reached out to Coach Titus for comment. His direct response was, can't make it today. I'm not kidding. That's what he said. No, he did actually say that. He can't. He has a dentist. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. But unfortunately, my father is not on the show today.
I wish.
As most friends of the program, most of the friends of the program, the moment they see that Purdue is ranked number 1, they think of one man. It is my father, and they say, "We got to hear what Coach Titus
How's he
has to say
dealing
about
with
this." I have an official statement. He sent me his official statement, so I will read his thoughts to everybody about that. Arizona beat Indiana. And Arizona, dare I say it, Tate, is starting to look like the best team in the country again.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. They do have the best front court in the country because there was a lot of, I said in Maui, they had the best front court. The Indiana fans came at my neck. They said, hey, have you ever heard of Trace Jackson Davis and Race Thompson? We learned on Saturday there's a better front court in Arizona.
They said Indiana would like a word. We saw what that word was, and it was bad. The word was bad.
But
Arizona,
no Hood Schifino, so does it really count?
That's true. That's true. What else happened? Ohio State beat Rutgers since we last did a show, and the haters are absolutely sick about it.
Wow.
They are sick.
I will see. I didn't know this many people knew the rules of going out of bounds and going in bounds, but, you know,
that's what happens.
For people that didn't even know the backcourt rules, they all of a sudden knew all the rules.
When Ohio State stacks up W's,
the haters are sick.
The rule book readers come out in full force, Tate, and they're ready. The screenshotters
they were everywhere.
They're everywhere.
I couldn't believe it. I was celebrating the win. I had about 2
Are we
seconds
sure he
of
was even out of
celebration.
bounds? Is what I want to know. Because some of the angles I saw could have gone either way. I don't know.
It was blurry.
Oh, we might talk about that. We'll see. Texas is definitely not back. I don't know how much we'll spend on that one, but the Longhorns, as I saw someone say, book 'em horns is the new motto down there in Austin. I went to Berkeley, by the way, and I have some thoughts. So I don't know if we do this at the end of the show, in the middle of the show. I don't know what happens, but I am one of the few people on this planet who have now seen Louisville play in person. I saw them in the Maui Invitational. I have now seen the Cal Golden Bears play in person.
Yeah,
I have thoughts on what would be the worst Power 5 matchup of all time. Unfortunately, we're not going to see it this year, but I'm willing to do that for our listeners. I'm willing to flesh out what I think might happen in that game.
Well, the good news for you is we have good guy and we have bad guy. We have Cal's guy. We have Kyle guy. Yeah, we have a lot of things to talk about.
This is a loaded show. All right, well, let's stop talking and let's get into it. But first,
Woody Durham.
All right, we will get to good guy, bad guy. I'll let Tate do his thing over there because I'm excited to hear what you had prepared for all of us. But first, Purdue is your new number 1, Tate. It is official. The Purdue Boilermakers are once again number 1. Those of you who remember last season in college basketball, you might remember that Purdue, for the first time in the history of their program, their storied program, going back to the days of John Wooden, going back to the days of the 1932. Is that the national championship banner they have hanging? I think it's 32. Because 29 is Butler in Carolina. Is that right?
No, 24.
24.
24.
What's the oldest championship banner hanging in an arena somewhere?
There's got to be a 1901 banner somewhere. It'd be great if there's a banner before basketball. Someone just worked back. They're like, we were playing this game.
Some Canadian school. What's the school? That was in Massachusetts that Naismith invented the game.
Yeah, Springfield.
Yeah, the Springfield Community College. They put up
it was a YMCA. Imagine that YMCA has one banner.
This is 1891 national champions.
Yeah, coached by Dr. Naismith.
Purdue was ranked number 1 last year. First time in program history. It was a huge moment for the program.
Right.
Purdue is for all the jokes that I and my father and everyone else have made about Purdue basketball through the years, and some of the hiccups they've had in NCAA tournaments. Tate, You cannot deny that Purdue is one of the great college basketball programs that we have, and for them to finally be number one was an awesome moment for the program. The fans were going crazy. Everybody loved it. Ron Harper said, "Suck on this," and hit a half-court shot, and it was gone. And it was immediately gone. And just like that, fast forward to this year, Purdue is once again number one. I think their fans are a little more timid about it.
They don't want it.
They don't want it.
They're reaching out. They're like, please, AP voters, hear us out. We do not want the smoke. We do not want to be number one, because they weren't even number one yet, and they played Nebraska this weekend, and it looked like they were already playing a little bit tighter.
We said on the last show, the number one ranking is the hot potato, and UConn is clamoring for it.
Yes.
They're saying, give me that potato.
They literally keep clapping their hands and putting their hands up. They are Deion Waiters.
Swing it.
Please.
Swing it to the shooter. We want the potato. And Purdue is just aimlessly dribbling around, like looking up at the shot clock, saying, like, please.
Jaden Ivey last year, please let me get to the NBA.
Yes. But this is the debate, I guess, in college basketball right now is Purdue, Virginia. Houston obviously lost to Alabama. We're going to talk about that at some point. Texas lost to Illinois at Madison Square Garden. So there are three teams that I think have a legitimate case. It's Purdue, it's Virginia, it's UConn. And what's funny, Tate, is maybe you saw something different, but I saw a lot of the voters, a lot of the AP voters that are willingly putting their neck out and saying, "Here's my," and I don't even know if it's all AP voters, because I saw Andy Katz puts out his Power 36.
Right.
I don't even know if that's his AP vote or if that's like.
Well, you have to remember, like, you have to be an AP writer, right, to have this AP vote. Is that how this works?
I have no idea, actually.
But then I actually saw that there were people that aren't AP writers that had a vote.
Barstool has like 3 guys that are voting on it. No, you got Big Ev, and he's like, my AP.
I'm like,
wait, what?
I'm like, congratulations. But how?
No, but I saw, like Andy Katz puts out his Power 36, and the question is this, Andy, is this your AP vote or is this your Power 36? And Andy, very smart guy, might be what we should maybe have him on the show and ask him, but he feels like Andy would step in and be like, no. Now, I have my bracketology, I have my Power 36.
These are all separate.
And I have my AP vote. These are 3 different things. But I saw a lot of here's how I voted. With that being said, I think UConn's the best.
Right.
Like that sort of messaging where it's like, I have Purdue at number 1 because Purdue has more quad 1 wins. But if we're being honest with ourselves, I think UConn's the best team in the country. And to all those people that have said that, you're cowards. You're on fraud watch.
Make the vote.
You are 100% on fraud watch.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And, I think as they're trying to save face, because last week's poll, Purdue got 8 first-place votes. Virginia got 3 first-place votes. UConn had 0 first-place votes. So in their minds, based on their own votes that they had the week before, they're like, I cannot jump this team over these 2 teams that already got first-place votes
and did not lose.
Yes, because that would be wrong. But it wouldn't be. It would actually be courageous.
As it turns out, the poll is supposed to be, who do you think the best team
is?
Right.
It's like we're all playing this game that's made up, and like you can actually break the rules, and these are unwritten rules, and yet it's very baseball. It's like you're not supposed to do that, but you're like, but can I?
But you can't. Like I don't understand why you can't just.
You do that? So I think you're right. I think the courage that it took to put UConn number 1, it would mean that you're saying throw out the quads, throw out Kim Pom, throw out all. Even though Kim Pom has UConn number 1 now, so actually bring in Kim Pom.
Bring Kim Pom back in.
Yeah, bring Kim Pom back. Throw out all of, and the thing about it was, Virginia fans, they're not clamoring to be number 1.
No.
Purdue fans, we just said it, they're timid. They don't want to be number 1. UConn fans wanted it.
Well, and
why not give it to them?
That's why I think, kind of what I was talking about at the start of the season, in the preseason, because I'm a hypocrite. You know this. I'm not afraid to acknowledge.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. So I'll rip on all these people that are talking on both sides of their mouth. But then I was doing that in the preseason, and I said Houston deserves the number 1 ranking. If you asked me to vote on it, I would say Houston 100%. But at the same time, I want North Carolina to be number 1 because I think it's best for the sport.
Yeah.
I think we need some common sense to step in and say this is what's best for the sport. And what's best for the sport right now is UConn being number 1, And I think like I'm going to propose that every Sunday night we do a Zoom meeting with all the AP voters, and I explain to them, like I just kind of state my case. It's like, vote who you want to vote for. Let's tabulate the vote. Let's see where it stands. And then let's actually talk this through and say, is this best for the sport? Because as you said, Purdue fans don't even want this.
Yeah.
Virginia fans don't want this. Virginia fans wanted it after they beat Houston at home. Like that was what they played Houston Saturday. Their hope was Houston comes in on Saturday. You beat Houston by like 12. It's an emphatic win. against what was the number one team coming in. Like in their mind, they thought Houston was going to be number one. They beat the hell out of them. And then now they're like, okay, now we'll take your number one. But as it stands right now, Virginia fans don't want it. Give it to UConn. It's best for the game.
It's best for the game.
Anyway.
And also, Purdue only got 27 first-place votes. Virginia got 19. UConn got 15. And Tennessee got 1.
Yeah, Tennessee's an interesting
So Tennessee
team,
is another team. Obviously, they've lost a game, but they're another team that we talked about at the start of the year. Very good team.
Yep.
Impressed in the exhibitions. Impressed in the secret scrimmages. Did not impress in the first
lost
look.
to Colorado, but Plavik, how do you say his name? Plavchik?
Sure.
Yeah, the big guy, the big Serb. Big Serb was he played 3 minutes, I think, and was out for the he's an interesting dude because we'll talk about Tennessee in a second, but I was just gonna say he's an interesting dude because he doesn't like play that much for them, doesn't do he doesn't put up monster numbers. But at the same time, there's a reason he starts, and there's a reason like Rick Barnes trusts him. And the fact that he got hurt against Colorado I think it matters.
I think it matters.
Ultimately because they're a completely different team.
Not that you take it away, but I mean, Tennessee in general is in that conversation of could they end up being a number one team?
I don't want to step on what might be your good guy, bad guy, all that picks. So I don't want to like dive too much into some of these games that already happened. But just talking about the number one, I'll say this: I did reach out to my dad. Who I texted him. I was like, Dad, the people want you on the show. They want to hear what you have to say.
Coming off an Arizona loss for the Hoosiers,
right.
And Purdue's safe face. Yeah, what's going on?
He said he texted me back, can't make it today, and I double tapped and put haha because I thought he was doing a bit. I thought he was like joking around. As it turns out, he had a dentist appointment. And I fact checked this. He had a dentist appointment. He goes into his dentist appointment. I think it was supposed to be like a routine deal. They found like an infection in his gums or something that he had to have. Like, it wasn't like an emergency surgery is like way too serious of a situation, but it was like, we should probably knock this out while you're here. So what they did was they numbed half of his face. And he got like the procedure done. He's fine. Everything's fine. He's going back home. I called him on the way in to make sure he's okay. Cause he goes, can't do today. Have to go to the dentist. And that was all he told me. So I called my mom and I was like, is Dad okay? And she's like, he's fine. You want to talk to him? And he picks up the phone. And he did have slurred speech. So I either my father, listen,
or he's so shocked that Purdue's back at number one,
right? That
he's
having a stroke.
He can't handle it. His body's shutting down.
Either he's a great actor, which he might be. I don't know. Like his son did get a call back for Kurt Ramos,
right?
So like it runs in the family.
Yeah.
Or he actually did have a procedure. But he was on the phone like trying to yell at me. Because he's like, I want to come on the show. Make sure they know I want to come on the show. I'm not ducking you.
Let them know.
He's like, I can't talk, though. I can't talk.
He's like, Prime. He's like, tell him I'm coming.
Yes.
I'm coming.
And he said some of the stuff, I tried to write down some of his thoughts as he was, I was driving, so I wasn't trying to write that, but I was like keeping a mental note. Then I get to a stop sign and I'd pull over and like start typing some of the things he was saying. So first of all, he says Zach Edey is not that good. Zach Edey is 7'4" and just all of his.
He should have 20 rebounds a game.
Not impressed. Is my dad's official stance on Zach Edey. He's like, I guess give him National Player of the Year if you want. As for me, not impressed.
Right.
So that's his take on Zach Edey. He says they are quote very beatable.
Right.
Okay. He says if Nebraska could have made one shot at the end of regulation, Purdue loses. So he's like, this is more a Nebraska problem. The talk coming out of that game is Nebraska. It's not Purdue. It's like Nebraska.
Let one get away.
Yeah. Let one get away. He said, speaking of which, if you think about it, Purdue technically tied. They didn't beat Nebraska. They tied with Nebraska. I think my dad's got some World Cup fever going on where he was trying to present this as though
this is a draw.
It was a draw. And then we do the PKs just to decide who advances. But technically, like Brazil did not lose. They drew. And unfortunately, we have to figure out who advances, and you lost the penalty kick. But that doesn't mean you lost the match. You actually tied the match.
And you played better.
Better. So my dad said, technically, if you break it down, Nebraska and Purdue tied because the game went to overtime. And Purdue simply won the
PKs.
The PKs. Yeah, Purdue won the PKs, which is not.
And he's not wrong. And he's not wrong. I see where he's coming from.
And then his final bow tie was just UConn is he goes, none of this matters because UConn is number one and everyone knows that they are by far the best team in the country. So he's like, I'm actually not shook. He said I was more shook last year because like Purdue actually looked like the best team in the country.
He thought they were number one.
And he's like, this year everyone knows they're not number one.
Even Purdue fans.
So he's like, I don't really care.
Right.
That was his statement.
Okay.
And he's like, make sure everyone knows I'm not ducking the show. So there you go.
I think he likes Fletcher Loyer, though. How could he not?
I think he does.
I like Fletcher Loyer a little bit. And also, just for Purdue fans, we have to point out the next game, Foster's coming home.
That's right. Yeah,
Foster
they're playing in
is
Indy,
going
right?
to play Fletcher, and it is going to be a
Loyer
showdown. Yeah, this is going to be great. So I'm going to circle that game as a Davidson potential upset because Sam Meninga.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, come on.
We need to get Jay Billis on the call for that one. It's Loyer versus Loyer,
right?
With the lawyer on the call. There you go.
Loyer, and Billis.
You know who Purdue's next road game is? Because my dad was big on that last year when he came on the show. He's like, let's keep an eye on that next road game. And then they lost to Rutgers immediately. You know, Purdue has on the road next January 5th, Columbus, Ohio.
Whoa, Buckeyes. Ranked Buckeyes.
The ranked Buckeyes, #1 Purdue coming
Good
to
draw.
town. Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on that. That's a situation we will be monitoring here on the program.
I think Coach Titus is going to be available that day.
I think so.
I don't think he's going to have a dentist appointment.
I think so. My dad comes on the screen and he's like, should be having an emergency procedure. Like his tooth's like falling out. He's like, I canceled all my plans.
Hey, fellas, tell him I wasn't ducking. I'm here.
The dentist said I need to come in right now to get this taken care of. I said it can wait.
Today's the day.
All right. The floor is yours. Let's do a good guy, bad guy. Kyle guy, maybe?
Yeah.
Cal's guy?
Cal's
I don't
guy.
know. I'll see where you take it.
Yeah, I have it all. today. We're going to do the full rundown, but let's start with good guy because there's really two guys that are battling for the goodest guy of all time. I mean, they are going for the GOAT status of good guys. And, of course, we have in one corner Kenny Payne. And Kenny Payne has created nothing but pain for all Louisville basketball fans, all fans of the sport in general. If you've watched Louisville play, and if you watched them play against Florida State, there was some sideline videos that were coming out of Kenny Payne on the bench laughing.
Didn't Kenny Payne say? Did I get this right? I think in his post-game press conference,
hit rock bottom.
He has not hit rock bottom yet.
Yes. He
With
said
Florida A&M coming up on Saturday, we have not hit rock bottom yet.
AKA, get ready for that one, boys and girls, because it might not be our first win, as Mike Rutherford said it would be.
All eyes on December 17th.
All eyes are there. So, Kenny Payne's always going to be in the good guy conversation this year because we've never seen anything like it, unprecedented at a Power 5 level. But in the other corner is our guy, California coach Mark Fox. And you mentioned it at the top of the show. You're the only man in show business in college basketball that has seen both good guys in person, boots on the ground. We saw good guy Kenny Payne in Maui, which you would think good vibes. Somehow seemingly was not good vibes, even though we're in Maui. You were at a Berkeley game.
I was.
And not many people can say that. Not many people can say that. Mark Fox is the head coach. I Googled today, good guy Mark Fox. 200 tweets over the years. A lot of people think he's a good guy. So we're talking about the GOATs of good guys. Tim Miles, I apologize, but I don't think he's on this level. Tim Miles, he's doing all right. He was in some of the shots today with Chris Beard when they were showing him in his professional setting. I was like, there's Tim Miles, good guy. But these two guys, Mark Fox, Kenny Payne, you saw Mark Fox. What did you see, Mark Titus?
Okay, so Tim Miles is still the gold standard of good guy because he never sunk the Nebraska programs to the depths that Cal and Louisville are at. What made him so special as a good guy was that when he was fired, he was almost like I wouldn't say happy about it, but he's almost like, that's cool, man. Thank you for the opportunity.
He's like, I'm so I had a great time. I can't believe we got to do that. What a ride. It was what a ride.
What a ride.
And it was literally him in his car waving to the media as he left his office. He's getting his stuff out of his office. And he's like, thank you guys so much.
It was funny to him almost.
Yes.
Yeah. And he turned it into content. He came on the show to accept the award.
What a time.
For that reason, he set the bar
still
so
GOAT
high.
Status.
So I guess the way Kenny Payne or Mark Fox, they don't have to be as chummy as Tim Miles was when he was fired, but I'm curious to see what happens when these two men are let go from their current positions, how they handle it. Because if they're even half as happy or affable, I guess would be the word, as Tim Miles was when he got fired, then they are the new standard of good guy.
Yeah.
I think.
Mark Fox could be that guy. I don't see Kenny Payne being that guy.
I don't think so either. I think Kenny Payne was I wasn't giving her enough time.
Right.
I was really hoping you gave me more time.
I simply did not have enough time.
I really think in year 2, we were going to turn a corner.
Year 2 is year 1 for me.
My plan was, remember how I said we hadn't hit rock bottom? My plan was if you hit rock bottom at a fast enough speed, you'll actually bounce back.
Like a phoenix.
Yeah. If you hit it, if you're going slow into the rock, you're not going to bounce as high back. So I was trying to hit rock bottom.
It's called a ricochet. That's what he's going for.
But your question, who was worse? I was thinking about it all game. So,
so how many people were at the game? Can I start there? That's my first question. So you're in the building. Butler is coming into town to play Cal. Cal is 0-9 at this point going into this game.
Haas Pavilion, I will say this, is very, very underrated.
Okay.
Incredible college basketball venue. It's the kind of place you walk into and you say, you have to walk into the actual gym part because the concourses, it is not Mackey Arena. You would not confuse this for Mackey Arena. The concourses are tight, Tate. The bathroom's not much to speak of. The concession stand, I found one concession stand that was open in the entire arena. The hallways were carpeted. As I was trying to find my way to my seat, and then again when I was trying to find my way to the restroom after like the first time out when that I needed to go pee, I kept feeling like I was going to walk into a class, like an active classroom where a class was in session.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of vibe as you're walking through the hallways of this place. You're like,
it's like a school building.
Yeah, it's a school building. But then when you step in and like you get into your seat, it's very steep. It feels very old. It feels like in 1967, this place was packed and it was rowdy and, you know, all the Berkeley people were losing their minds. So I do have a respect for that. Like on this day, I did not see it packed. It was the opposite of packed. There were maybe 2,000 people there. It was very, very barren. They had T-shirts laid out for all of the student section that marked the student section. So there was a T-shirt on every seat in the student section, so the students could have a free T-shirt when you got there. The only people in the student section were the band. It was all empty. So at halftime, all the fans that were there, I shit you not, at halftime, they walk over to the student section and
stole
start
the shirts.
scooping up all the shirts. Like people were taking like 12 shirts at a time, throwing them over their shoulder and walking away.
It's Christmas time.
Yeah. That's how I would describe Haas Pavilion, is it feels like it's stuck in 1967 for better or worse. It makes it very cool, very historic. But also like the mascot is one of the most horrific looking mascots I've ever seen. Like the bear itself looked like a paper mache bear that like it looked like one of the students did a bunch of mushrooms the night before the game and like was in their dorm, like putting together this head and then they threw it on and sat in the student section. Very, very creepy mascot. The band was like the biggest dweebs I've ever seen in my life, but they were having a good time. That's
cool.
Yeah, they were cool, like having a good time, but they were also
having a band at a game makes it feel like a college game immediately.
But it was also like the band instructor, as the game is going on, the band instructor's calling out the next song they'll play at the next time out, and I am sitting across the arena and I can hear what he's saying.
Yeah.
So the atmosphere is sad, and I would describe it as this: the Cal people, the administration, there are fans that care, I imagine. So I apologize to these fans that I'm lumping you in with the rest, but as a fan base as a whole, does not care. It is just a very apathetic place that like the biggest ovation of the day came when they introduced the water polo team that just won the national championship. They come out with their trophy and they're holding it above their head and the place like gives them a standing ovation. And then that was it. And that was as close as we got to like a raucous
crowd reaction.
The Cal fans don't care as much as the Louisville fans, which is why I imagine on top of a lot of other things, but that's why we're hearing more about Louisville's demise, you know, because I think the Cal people are like, whatever, you know, like whatever. This is like Louisville. This is like an actual problem.
It's a crisis.
This is a crisis. Cal's like,
I hate sports.
Yeah, sports are stupid anyway. Do we need sports anyway?
Are we sure?
We're sure this is good.
Sports? Yeah.
But what was interesting to me is I felt like the Cal players care more than the Louisville players. The Cal player, like Devin Askew, is still. Now, it might have been selfishly motivated. Like, I think he might be trying to, like, average 20 a game so he can point to NBA scouts and be like, I
averaged 20.
I averaged 20
at a Power 5 conference.
School.
Yeah.
Don't look up anything else.
Stop.
Stop right there. So I ultimately landed on this. I think if Louisville was to play Cal, my read on it is Louisville has better players in the sense of, like, they pass the airport test better. They have more athleticism. They should be a better basketball team. They should be better.
Right.
Cal is bad. Cal is very bad. So I think Vegas would set the line like Louisville -3.5. This is a neutral court, by the way. I think Louisville would be favored, but I actually think the Cal players would care as the game wore on and they're playing in front of like 78 people. I think the Cal players would continue to fight.
Us. I would be there.
Yeah. I think the Cal players would continue to fight. I think the Louisville players would give up with like 8 minutes left in the first half.
They
and
would
I think
give
Cal
up
wins.
at the under 16 timeout in the first half. I mean, we've seen that happen. I also think Mark Fox is a better coach than Kenny Payne.
I think you're right about that.
And when you say that,
which is shocking to say out loud, but like, That's where we've arrived.
And I started doing some research because, Mark Fox, like I said, a lot of people think he's a good guy. All the Georgia fans, when he got fired, they were like, God, such a good guy. 9 years with this man. I hate to see him go. Let's bring in Tom Crean. And they were like, where's our good guy? bring back Mark. And I looked up the win-loss percentage for Mark Fox, and you would think, 3.73, right? That's not good. 22-37 is his record so far.
At Cal?
At Cal.
Okay.
Since 2019. So he has a better win percentage than the guy before him, Wyking Jones, who was 16-47.
Oh, so he's improved.
So he's actually so as much as he is a good guy of the century, going on GOAT status, he's actually turning the program around. Well, he's actually trending up.
I'm worried that when he gets fired, that's going to be his messaging. Instead of being like, thanks for the chance or thanks for the opportunity, I had a great time. Great to meet all of you people. He's going to be like, why would you fire me? I was better than the last guy.
Right.
I had this program on the right direction.
Yeah, I was trending up.
Yeah, we were trending up.
I was classically trending up. Look at all the metrics. And he's also not the worst coach in Cal history based on win percentage because Todd Bozeman, 35-63. So he's worse. Like I said, Wyking Jones is up there as worse with win percentage. So he has some people to point to and say it has been worse. But if you're a Nibs Price guy and you watch 30 years of good Cal basketball back in the 30s through the 60s, you're losing your mind right now because you're like, what happened to my team? What happened to my school? What happened to us?
What happened to
the good guys?
Pete Newell, dude, who I believe
Pete Newell was balling.
1960. They was that I think they lost the title game to Ohio State in 1960.
119-44 for Pete Newell. So
wow.
I mean, this was a bad guy that came here. There's potential, and we talk about sleeping giants on this show. We always try to pinpoint, universities that could actually get it back, find that juice again. It feels like in 10 years we're going to be talking about Louisville. Unfortunately, if it keeps trending like this. But Cal's one of those teams too.
I asked around what's wrong with Cal. Like, how are you this bad? Why are you this bad? A lot of we simply do not care from the administration. Simply does not care. There's no resources being pumped into it. The Pac-12 situation was not helpful either. That it goes all the way to the top is what I was told.
Right.
That like Larry Scott's in the driver's seat. He takes over at the Pac-12, and he's like, we're going to dominate all the sports that nobody cares about, which is why Cal water polo team won the national championship,
right.
I think. But the sports that people care about, we're not going to care about.
Mm-hmm.
And then that trickled down to
they went with the Moneyball approach.
Yes,
they were like, let's flood the market.
And then that trickled down to the Cal administration where they were like, we are the best in their minds. I don't know if they still are. I haven't looked up the rankings. I don't know what the new AP poll says, but the best public school in the country. We are going to dump all of our resources into making sure we keep that status.
Right.
We do not care about basketball. We do not care about football. We are not going to lower our standards to let people in. But at the same time, Jaylen Brown and Aaron Rodgers, sure, you can come on in. But also, we're going to tell everybody that we will not lower our standards.
That was Conzo. Shout out to Conzo. And they had a bad guy back then.
Conzo Martin. So, and then someone mentioned something about the football program. And this is what I was starting to get into, like tinfoil theory. But also I was like, this is super interesting. I got to look this up in my own time. That they built the football stadium on a fault line. And they had to go back and redo a lot of the football stadium, and they pumped a ton of money into fixing the football stadium because if an earthquake hits, like it'll be like what was the movie with the
Dark Knight,
Bane, where
Dark Knight Rises,
where Hines Ward outran a bomb.
Dark Knight Rises.
They're saying like that was going to happen, so they had to. So basically, the administration pumped a ton of money into that. Now they're sour on the whole idea of like spending money on athletics. So now like Mark Fox is like, hey, we need more money to like get a recruit. They're like, what the hell is this? Is it just a endless stream of money goes to sports? Is that how this works?
Yeah.
And Mark Fox was like, yes, this is how it has to work. And they're like, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah. But we also just built a new building right there for the physics department. Yes. Did you see it? Go check it out.
We are going to split the atom on this campus.
We will be working on science.
Yes. So anyway, that's that was my Berkeley. I had a great time in Berkeley. It's a cool little town. It's a little grungier than I thought it was.
Yeah.
It's not as
it's everywhere in this.
That's true. That's true.
It's everywhere.
I was expecting a little more quaint. I was expecting a little more like old men with a pipe,
right?
Like an ascot,
Yeah.
Like that are like, "Good day to you, sir. Welcome to Berkeley."
Yeah.
Like,
they somehow have an accent. They're very Madonna town, where like people have British accents. Yeah.
But instead I saw a lot of signs that were like, make sure all your valuables are out of your car because people will break your windows.
Yes.
Like those signs were everywhere.
Yes. and they're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sick. Cool. Very cool. Great campus, great school. Had a great time. That's my Berkeley report.
And a big win for Butler.
Big win for Butler.
Over a Power 5 team.
Power 5 school, Pac-12 school.
Don't look at the blind
win.
resume. That's a win over a Power 5 team on the road. True road game. So shout out to that.
Brad Stevens was at the shoot around, and
he was in Berkeley?
Yeah, because the Celtics were playing the Warriors the next night.
God.
And
Brad can't help himself.
I know.
He loves Butler so much.
Yeah.
He loves Butler more than Boston.
I think Brad knew I was there too. I think Brad wants me. I think like secretly, like Brad's I think Brad's like
he wants you on the Butler staff.
I think Brad is like texting everybody. He's like, "What'd Mark say about me this week on the show?"
Yeah. You think that he comes in after Thad. Let's say Thad says, "I have a succession plan." Brad's coming in after Thad. First there was Thad, then there was Brad. And then Brad comes in, he takes over, and he's like, "I got to bring in Titus, but I also have to fire you, Diebler."
Oh, I'm doing that.
I think that's the money shot.
Shout out to Brad, by the way. He did get in the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. After all,
a Masshole?
Yeah, Masshole's in the. He did get inducted into the Hall of Fame.
I thought Indiana was different,
but I think Brad was like the hot chick, and I was like the nerdy guy that was like really into her. I don't know. I'm losing the analogy already. And he liked to stiff arm me and keep me over there. But then at a certain point, I realized the only way to win his love is to start negging him, and to kind of just be like, you know what, I don't need you anyway. Yeah. And I've done that. So now I think he's like suspiciously circling me. You know what I mean? Like we're just like ships in the night. Like,
well, he wants the Indiana love.
I think so.
He wants the home love.
I think so. I see what's happening.
He wants to go home.
I think so.
He's got to get out of Boston. It's not like they're doing anything good.
I was told he's 100% done coaching though, which broke my heart. But again, I felt like that was a shot at me, and I was like, dude. I don't think.
Stop saying that.
Stop saying that. Dude.
Who keeps why do you keep answering that question? Right? Like if you were 100% done, you'd be like, don't ask me.
Brad, the question was, what did you have for lunch? Like, is there a good?
He's like, I'm done coaching. I don't want to coach. Who said I wanted to coach? He wants to coach Butler. That's the truth.
I think so.
That's the truth.
Moving on. Bad guy of the week.
Bad guy of the week is one of my favorite bad guys on this program, and I'll use his quote because I thought it was a good phrase to represent what's happening down in Memphis right now. Things have come to fruition, as Penny Hardaway pointed out after this game. God's got us, and he was right. This man, he's a believer, and he believed just like I did. I told you, I said, watch out for Auburn on Saturday. The Memphis Tigers came. The Memphis Tigers saw a whole lot of Auburn fans in the building. They saw a team that was ranked number 11 in the country, and Penny Hardaway looked at Kendrick Davis, and he said, "These are the Auburn guards." And luckily, Kendrick Davis and the rest of Memphis, DeAndre Williams.
Say no more.
Yeah, they said, "Oh yeah, that is right. These are the same guards that we saw last year that seem to just make just absolute messes of games at times." Katie Johnson could both win you a game and he could definitely lose you a game, as we saw here against Memphis. But Kendrick Davis was amazing. DeAndre Williams and Kendrick Davis combined for 43 points together. The great second half for Williams. But Penny Hardaway apparently gave a pep talk before the game to Kendrick Davis and was like, "This is your time. This is your moment. This is your day." And Larry Brown, shout out to Coach Larry Brown. He had just stepped down from his advisor role with the team. And, in honor of Coach Brown, who I think is the greatest bad guy of all time that we've ever seen. Because Larry Brown, he famously said, "I can walk into any gym and tell you who the best player is, and I can get him to come to my school." And everyone's like, wait, what? Like
famously also won a national title and was like, "Oh, by the way, I'm out of here." Because
he invented the Pete Carroll. He was like, "What are you guys doing? Investigating? Peace. Yeah, I'll see you guys later." Roy Williams, you want this job? So in honor of Coach Brown, in honor of Memphis getting a huge win over the number 11 team, in honor of Penny Hardaway getting away from all the charges, getting away from all the cloud, and living in the sunlight and beaming and shining. Shout out to the Memphis Tigers. And as they were winning this game, Titus, I picked this up on the TV sound. They started playing Whoop That Trick.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is a neutral site. So this is how much influence Penny Hardaway and how much confidence he had in his team, because obviously someone on his staff told whoever the PA person was, when we're up in this game late, would you please play Whoop That Trick? Would you please play Whoop That Trick? And they did, and they beat the Tigers, and it was a great day for Memphis basketball. Bad guy of the week.
Bad guy for getting Kendrick Davis, if nothing else, dude, because he's been awesome for
SMU.
Am I counting this correctly that Memphis has 11 seniors on the roster?
Yeah, it's a very old team.
And 2 juniors?
Yeah. Penny Hardaway basically flipped the culture in the same way that Cal Fake did, where Cal's like, I'm going for grad transfers. I'm playing in the portal. I'm done with these one-and-done kids. Penny Hardaway said, you know what I want against 18 and 19-year-olds? I want 23, 24, and 25-year-olds. It's exactly what Mike Bray's doing. He's like, I'm going to play the age game here and hope to God that these old guys just punk these young kids. And bada bing, bada boom, you win more games.
Jonathan Lawson, freshman guard from Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
He plays. He's in the rotation. And then if what I'm reading is correct, basically every other guy that's seen the floor for them this year is a senior.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and they're all like 23. They're all like 22, 23.
That's crazy. They're all from Memphis too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys from Memphis. 2 guys from Houston. Kendrick Davis and DeAndre Williams.
You want to hear something crazy? DeAndre Williams is older than Stetson Bennett.
Who's older than Lamar Jackson?
Who's older than Lamar Jackson? DeAndre Williams is 3 years younger than me. And I have been out of school for quite some time. He's 26.
Is he older than Jason Tatum for real?
I mean, he might be. I think he and Jason Tatum might be the same age. I don't even know how old
Jason Tatum's 24.
Oh, he's 2 years older than Jason Tatum. So DeAndre Williams is 2 years older than Jason Tatum.
Wow.
That's bad guy moves.
Yeah, Penny has quietly flipped this program around in that regard. And quietly being the keyword here, because I think in order for Memphis to truly be back, I'm going to say the same things I was saying about IU entering the season. The most surefire way to know you're back is that you aren't running to the mountaintops and beating your chest and saying we're back like twice a month. You just kind of like let it happen. You beat Auburn, you're excited, you feel good. It's a good win. Program should be feeling good about where you're at. But you don't have Chris Vernon beating down our door saying, let me on the show.
YouTube.com.
To yell YouTube.com.
YouTube. Look at the highlights. Whoop that trick.
And you're also not celebrating off-season wins. You're not looking at like who in the portal is considering Memphis and is Penny going to get Bronny James to Memphis and all these sorts of things. You're like, let's just when we play a team that's ranked 11th in the country, what if we beat them? What if we just beat them? And we just beat them soundly and we move on. And that's what they're doing. So congratulations, Memphis.
I love it. And they also have Mikey Williams, right, coming in. So, right. I mean, I saw his.
So take back everything I just said. And when Mikey Williams comes in, they're going to go right back to chasing the cloud.
I like that he's playing both sides. You know what I mean? Yeah. If there's anything we know about a Penny, you got to flip that. You can play both sides. And Penny can do it. And I'm excited about Bad Guy of the Week, Penny Hardaway. We needed it for the sport.
That game was kind of the Bag Bowl, too, by the way, with Bruce Pearl, Penny Hardaway.
Bruce Pearl, by the way, my God, he got a technical in this game, and he should have gotten tossed. I mean, he was absolutely unhinged, and I think character counts might have been. You know how Bruce Pearl loves an apex point of his time, and then he wears his welcome.
Yeah,
I think character counts in that ditch on the side of the road was the apex point. I really do.
That was the jumping of the shark,
beating Carolina with Chumo Kiki. Like those were the good times. And I think he may have jumped the shark, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. But the guards are the same.
According to Kenneth Pomeroy, his little depth chart, frequent lineups. I don't know how to read any of this, so take this with a grain of salt. That needs to be a segment. Is like Ken Palm stat of the day, where I pick out a stat and then I try to explain it. And
you know what I want?
I have no idea what I'm looking at.
I want all the top assistant coaches to be given the Ken Palm and then have to like explain what they're looking at, and they're all just like, get this out of my face.
But it looks like I said, Jonathan Lawson, freshman guard, is literally not only is he the only guy in the rotation, he's literally the only guy that has seen the court at any point in time from Memphis that is not a senior.
Right.
Not even, they don't even have like a sophomore walk-on that they've thrown in for 10 seconds at the end of a game.
And I remember, when Penny lashed out, back last year when he had that press conference when he's like, stop disrespecting me, bro.
Yeah.
Like when he did that whole thing, he was really upset because he had to play 4 freshmen. And he was like, I'm playing 19-year-olds against 23-year-olds. You think we're going to win?
I do not vacate the jokes. The Penny jokes are still hanging in my rafters in my house.
Right.
But at the same time, Penny, by the end of that season, I wouldn't say he was vindicated, but he
was right.
Like the team, we were quick to bury Memphis. They ended up being a decent team. They gave Gonzaga a great game. Yeah, I don't know. Like, so he I don't know if he was right, but he was trending right. He was, like, trending in the right direction. Like, if they beat Gonzaga, he was 100%
give me at least
right.
the benefit of the doubt.
But
now he's taken that benefit of the doubt, and now it's all come to fruition.
But at the same time,
God got us.
Yeah, the God got, like, you putting on your Instagram from the front pew at church, like, a picture of the pastor, and then prayer hands that say, like, "Memphis, we need your prayers for our basketball team.
Yeah.
Please."
Because he wanted him to get healthy.
Like, I'm not gonna apologize for laughing at that.
It was good.
I will not apologize for that. But
and they play Alabama tomorrow.
Yeah,
and that is a classic letdown game if you're Alabama. So but also is it a letdown game for Memphis? So it's a double letdown. Who will be let down?
One thing we know for sure: whoever loses that game, we will be talking about how
letdown.
They were let down. They let us
Major
down.
letdown.
What else we got?
So there you go. That's the bad guy. Cal's guy. Kentucky very quiet right now. I mean, Oscar Tshiebwe is plodding along. Kentucky's winning games. Yep. It's not pretty by any means, but they're winning games.
That's what I think I brought that up last week or 2 weeks ago, that Kentucky is going to be quiet for Kentucky because the schedule that they have is such that it's going to take a little bit of time before you and I come back into these chairs and sit down and be like, boy, it's time to talk about Kentucky, because what we're seeing out of these Wildcats, for them to win us back, it's going to be a little bit of time.
Right.
So they're kind of putting them on the shelf right now.
And there's teams that they can beat that you're like, oh, okay, like in Alabama,
right,
or Tennessee. And then you're like, okay, Kentucky, you have my attention again. But Cal's guy of the week is pretty simple. It's the future recruits, which, as we all know, I mean, that's usually Cal's guy. But based on Calipari's Twitter, which I love to keep up with, that's how I keep up to date with what he's doing. He was in Atlanta yesterday checking out our boy, Rob Dillingham, Donda Academy, Jim Cunningham's favorite school in America. And he wanted us to point out that Rob, since he's gotten out of school in California, since he got out of Donda, he has not been able to see him play and watch him play. He's very excited about that. He also really enjoyed watching Reed Shepherd last night, and said he was a great teammate. So I wanted to point that out. So in general, I think Calipari is trying to remind, on his lifetime contract, he is trying to remind us that he has great talent coming in. If nothing goes well this year, just remember, we're always looking toward the future.
Yeah,
everything with Calipari, the future is bright.
The future is bright.
Yeah.
The
league is in good hands.
When you say a guy is a good teammate, what's the first thing that comes to mind for you when you hear a guy is a good teammate? What are you picturing him doing?
Someone falls down and then goes and picks him up.
He runs over,
picks him up.
He's like at the top of the key, and a guy falls down underneath,
pushes the other guy away from him.
Yeah,
pushes the guy who knocked him down away, and then picks him up.
Yeah, okay,
that's good teammate.
Yeah.
And then shoot a free throw. They're like coming up to give you a high five, like a legit one, not like the fake ones where like you've obviously been told by your coach to give the high fives. They like run down.
Well, it's interesting because I think being a good teammate and being a good leader they're a lot of the same traits, but it's not the same thing. And some of because if you're the guy who calls during the free throw, you're the one that calls the huddle. That's not a good teammate. That's a good leader.
Right.
But I think you're right. The guy that rushes over to help the guy up, that is good. That is leadership, but it's also indicative of a good teammate.
And like, you can't be a good leader unless you're a good teammate. So it's a build, A lot of guys that are being good teammates want to be that good leader one day.
I think
like Fletcher Lawyer.
Yeah. I think good teammate is also like you're 3 for 19 and you're on the bench now, and then your teammate hits a shot and you stand up and
you're celebrating.
Yeah. That's a good teammate.
Yeah.
That's a good.
Caleb Love got benched on Saturday in the first half. Seth Trimble looking great out there.
Was he a good teammate?
Good teammate.
Good teammate, Caleb Love.
Love that. Shocking.
Hang that banner.
People were upset how good of a teammate he was.
Kentucky does have UCLA on Saturday, Madison Square Garden. We will be in the building for that game, Tate. So maybe, I don't know, maybe we're talking about Kentucky a little bit on Saturday. We'll see. I don't know.
We'll see. But at the end of the day, Cal's guy of the week is easy. It's the future recruits. He's locked in on the future, which makes me worried about the present, as is tradition. And then finally, Kyle Guy. Didn't get any info from Kyle Guy. Didn't get any reports, but here's the Kyle Guy update. Your Virginia Cavaliers, your Wahoos, #2 in the AP poll.
Yeah. And as Virginia fans have pointed out, ever since we did the show where I opened up saying UConn is definitely #1 and this team's terrifying and who could beat this team and all that kind of stuff, Virginia fans did point out, Tate, I thought you guys were scrimmage guys because Virginia beat UConn in a secret scrimmage.
Right. People forget.
So does that, do we care or do we not care?
I personally, I do care.
Yeah.
And I think
we have to care. So I think Virginia might actually be #1. I think when you look at it, there are 3 number 1 teams in the country.
Right.
I think that's where I've landed. Yeah, it
Like
is in fact
there are
pretty
3 number 1 recruits in high school. That's just how it just goes up. It just keeps climbing up. I also think weirdly when I look at UConn and Virginia, I like if he's healthy. I like Virginia has a closer. Virginia
Yeah.
has Reese Beekman. I think he is a closer, and I think UConn still has some fact finding on who that person is for their team.
Yeah. I just searched Kyle Guy on Twitter, because that's a really effective way to do this.
Okay.
There's a Twitter account called Klay Thompson Stan, who tweeted, this is on October 21st, so this is not relevant at all. My God, Elon, get the algorithm fixed, dude, because this is
Fix the
yeah,
algorithm.
this is what popped up first. Some guy tweeted, "I'm now featured on House of Highlights Instagram page, and Heat legend Kyle Guy liked it." And then it's a video with and then like a screenshot of Kyle Guy liked this guy's Instagram post. So there you go.
Shout out to Kyle Guy, active online. The fans appreciate it. They see it. They appreciate you, Kyle.
So some 12-year-old got featured on House of Highlights, and Kyle Guy was like, "Good job, double tap."
I think Kyle Guy comes on the show when Virginia's number 1, and I don't know.
I think that's what we're saving it for.
Yeah,
I could tell Kyle, like we've put out the ask, and he's like, "I love you guys. Anytime you want me on the show, come on." And we're like, "What about now?" And he's like, "Anytime, just let me know." And we're like, "Kyle,
right,
Kyle, we're literally asking you today." And he's like,
"If there's ever a time,
guys.
the time is now." And he's like, "No."
He's like, "No, that's great, guys. Anytime, you just let me know." And he just keeps saying that. I do think that when Virginia becomes number 1, if Virginia becomes, let's not be presumptive here. He will be he like my father will be suspiciously available out of nowhere.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's fair, and I think that's what we want to see. And also, I mean, if Virginia beats Houston, who would still be number 5,
they have a very strong case.
They jump Purdue.
It depends on how it shakes out, you know. It depends on if they go to overtime.
And, it's a draw.
And then it's a draw.
That's how AP voters look at it. That's how they always look at it. Well, there you have it. Good guy,
good
bad
segment.
guy.
Good segment, Tate.
Kyle's guy, Kyle guy.
Well done. Let's take a break. We'll come back, talk about Alabama, Houston a little bit, maybe. Maybe a little Tennessee, Maryland. Some of these other games that happened. Fun weekend. A lot of games to get to.
I watched a lot of college basketball.
Let's take a break, come back, and talk about it. All right, let's talk about Alabama a little bit, because they are a team that you have been high on ever since your alma mater lost to them in 4 overtimes, and you were put in a position where you were desperate to convince everybody that was actually not a bad loss for Carolina.
It's not a bad loss. A draw, as they say.
Yeah, it was a draw. It was a draw times 4, draw times 3, or whatever.
Right.
I as more of a neutral party, watched that game, and I said, yeah, Alabama beat Carolina. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying they're undeserving of a top 10 ranking, but also, you know, they got smacked by UConn. They needed 4 overtimes to beat a suspect Carolina team. And not only did they need 4 overtimes, but it was very, very sloppily played. And they didn't win the game as much as Carolina handed it to them. Sometimes literally on some of those out of bounds plays that they would just throw it right to them.
Yes.
So I said, wait and see. Like I think Alabama is going to be good. They're very young. The pieces are there. I see the vision. I'm not there yet with them. I got to see more. The first half of this Houston game, which I went back and watched. So I will say this: I did not watch this live. This was Saturday. I was in Berkeley, locked in on how bad Cal was. That I did not watch this game, so I watched it again on the DVR. I go back and watch, knowing that Alabama won, Tate, and I can't tell you how many times I paused the game and I double checked my score app, and I was like, Alabama won this game. How is this possible?
Right.
How Houston was up, what, like 16 in the second half?
I think they got up at least 13.
Was it 16, 13?
Yeah.
Bama is turning the ball over like crazy in the first half, throwing it all over the gym. Sloppy as hell. Even when they were scoring, it wasn't like graceful. It was like kind of put your head down.
Right.
Throw out a wild pass to a guy who hits a 3, and it's like
they play like a very young team.
They're a very, very young team. And I'm scratching my head like, how the hell did this happen? Now, Trayvon Mark fouls out for Houston. Kelvin Sampson has made it clear that he thinks the game goes a little differently if he doesn't foul out on a suspect call. I agree with him, but also at the same time, don't put your guy in that spot. Maybe let's be smarter about how we're approaching this game. And also, if losing one player who's not even your best player, if losing him makes your entire team crumble,
that's not good.
Then we got to look inward, dude. We got to figure out what the hell's going on with the team. So Trayvon Mark fouls out. The game starts to unravel for Houston. They do not score. It's seemingly the last 5-7 minutes, whatever it is. Alabama's just chipping away. They start taking care of the ball down the stretch, 1. But 2, I guess my big takeaway was how impressed I was with the team on the road against the number one team in the country with every reason to just pack it in or just start playing for individual accolades.
Right.
Or like Brandon Miller just be like, all right, we're going to lose. Now watch this.
The step back. Yeah.
But they didn't do that. They just kept chipping away, look up. They take the lead late. Even then, when you take the lead late, a young team could be like, we did it. We won. There's still 2 minutes left. We're up by 2 now. We did it. Congratulations. Pat on the back. We did it. They didn't do that either. And they just kept playing well and stole the win. Alabama officially has my attention. I still have a lot of questions. I still think they are very, very far from being a perfect basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
But also the flip side to that is they are very far from being a perfect basketball team and just won at number one on the road. So,
and what does every freshman, a group of freshmen need? Confidence, right? So you just beat the number one team in 4 overtimes where you say to yourself, wow, I can't believe we survived that game and we came away with the win. That's pretty shocking. But hey, you can write that off as a one-off type
fluke,
deal. Yeah, whatever
Carolina's
it is.
not that good.
Yeah, right,
whatever.
Right. And now you go on the road in this environment. Houston playing at home for the first time with the number one seed. There's obviously some pressure that comes along with that, but they're all locked in. This is a big moment. This is a big setup for a big win. Everything's going wrong for you. Brandon Miller is not having a good game. Clowney was really the one that stood out of the freshmen. I mean, he was amazing in this game. He was kind of the star. And when he played against Carolina, he was, I don't even remember him. I'm like, who is this guy? So that's the other part of Alabama that's scary. It's like this very like core of talented kids. They're getting this confidence. They're not even playing their best. But then at the end of the game, Brandon Miller is having to make very clutch free throws, and he's just nailing them. It doesn't even look like he's affected by it. And when you get to March, you're always, a little reticent to say, I think that these kids can deal with that pressure, deal with that moment. Alabama can. And I think it's because Brandon Miller, I mean, he is uniquely talented. I mean, this guy is a pro. This guy is going to be a top 5 pick. And I like the way he carries himself. And I think he's only going to get better. Clowney, I think he's only going to get better. Mark Sears, I think
Mark Sears is great.
A really good
great
guard
pickup,
that I think can really kind of get you that bucket that you need in the tournament, that guard that you need. So when I look at Alabama across the board, I'm very impressed, and I don't think they've reached their ceiling. And I don't even think they've come close to reaching their ceiling.
They haven't even come close.
But they know how to close games. They're not afraid of the moment. That says a lot.
As I was watching this game, all I could think was like, Alabama doesn't know how to play basketball.
Right.
And I say that as a compliment because, again, you just beat the number one team in the country on the road who this one is like legit. It's not a asterisk number one win.
It's not a neutral site.
Like the North Carolina one was, where North Carolina was a little bit in free fall and you caught them on the way down. It was very, very legit. But Alabama, man, like they're again, I say this with a sense of optimism. This is not like me nitpicking or trying to shit on like a fun team that's ranked 4th now and there are good vibes around the program. But these guys like do not look like they know how to play basketball at all. They're so young, they're just so long, and they not all of them across the board. I mean, like, like some are better than others, but as a whole, like the offense is sloppy at times. They weirdly get their shot blocked a lot. They block a lot of shots defensively, but they also get their shot blocked a lot. It's a lot of like just drive and kick and then shoot threes, which works out well because that's like what Nato just trying to do is like he's crunched the numbers. He's run his algorithm. He says we want to dunk the ball or make threes. That's what we're trying to do out here. We are doing a Daryl Morey ball. Yeah, thank you. You saw where I was going with that.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to accomplish, but like they're not particularly an aesthetically pleasing team in that regard. Like it can be sloppy at times, a lot of turnovers, a lot of dumb decisions, but my God, the length that they have defensively and the instincts that they have to like for guys that like don't know how to and again I say that just to say that like they don't run a lot of set plays that look fluid. They're not like and when they do run set plays, it's not like a well-timed thing where like the off-ball screen is happening at the right time that this other guy is cutting to where like all comes together. It's just a lot of like chaos. But their instinct to just put their head down and get a bucket is unmatched. I mean, like they have a lot of guys that could do that.
And I will say
they're very good at it.
I think that they have this kind of it's a good thing where they eventually, as the game wears on, even though they were, like you said, they're down 13, 16 or whatever, they look around and they say, we are more gifted than whoever we're playing.
Yeah.
Like we are obviously more gifted. And so that inherently will add confidence to you as you're playing the game against the number one team in the country and you're down 13, but you say to yourself, wow, we're playing like dog shit and we're down 13 and all we have to do is like get it together a little bit. I'm sure it's what Nato said to them. He's like, guys, just lock in a little bit. Like we can win this game. And all of a sudden, it's like right there for the taking. Houston gets tight. Like you said, I mean, you can blame the mark going out and the fouling out and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, Kelvin Sampson said it best. He was like, we got exposed. We got exposed today. We thought that we were better than we were. We thought that we could just coast to a
They definitely
win.
did coast. They definitely did coast. There was, I think it was Roberts had a dunk. I think Jawan Roberts did the fake handoff.
Yeah.
And then took the one dribble and flushed it. And you cut to the bench, and the Houston bench is like falling into each other and leaning every which way, moment. And the place is going crazy. And I'm not saying it shouldn't have been. I'm not like trying to say act like you've been there, whatever. But as I was rewatching the game and that happens again, I was like, how did Alabama lose this game? And then I look at the clock and there's like 17 minutes left. Or there's like, there's like a ton of time left. And I thought, the vibes aren't quite like that. That's the celebration you do, and there's like 4 minutes left.
Game over.
Like this is the final dagger.
They've been listening to our show where we watched and we said that's game.
That's game.
Unfortunately, that's game.
And they did that obviously prematurely, but it did feel like Houston thought that the game was over and they could just coast. And that's obviously a problem, and it's uncharacteristic of a team built like Houston, where they just keep preaching toughness and experience, and like we're not we're not the
prettiest team. We're gonna come away with the win.
Yeah, exactly.
And Alabama, they will, like an NBA team, like a 6 to 10 point lead for Alabama is nothing.
Yeah,
they erase 6 point. I mean, I saw it with the Carolina game. I mean, they erase 6 point leads like they're nothing, right? You get a little excited. You try to get a little bit comfortable. You say, wow, okay, now we're settled in. Now we're good. And it's like, Sears just hit a 3. Now they just stole the ball. Now they got an and 1. Now the game's tied. You're like, what?
I think there's an element of that too. Is like Bama went on a little bit of a run, and I think if you would have stopped the game, covered the score, and asked Houston players once the score, they'd be like, oh, we're still up like 12, 13, whatever. It's like, dude, you're up 4.
Yeah, right.
You're only up 4.
Right.
It's time to lock in.
And their best player by talent, right? Brandon Miller was basically, he was not involved in the game until the last like 5-6 minutes.
I still believe in Houston though. I don't think Sasser's,
I think this is good for Houston.
I don't think Sasser's 100%. And maybe I'm just making excuses for him. But, the eye thing and his shoulder, and like he's been
beat up.
The fact that he takes the glasses off to shoot the free throws
stresses me out.
I don't like that, because you're basically saying I can't see through these glasses, but then you put them back on to play the rest of the game, and I'm like, well, if we can't see through the glasses, what are we doing with the glass? Like,
and he wiped them off a couple times, like they were fogging up.
I got a bad read on that, but
I did like it because Vince Carter wore the glasses like that, and I'm like, I like where Sasser's head's at. I mean, it is cool. It can look cool, but I don't think he has the right fit. I don't think he has the right.
I think you go face mask.
Yeah,
I think you go face mask.
Right.
I don't think you go glasses. I think he's got to go face mask or like ski goggles.
See, it's got to be something that's it's got to be something that he can see and aesthetically.
Can you wear a helmet? Cool. Are you allowed to wear a?
That's a good question.
What are those soft helmets that like? Do they wear those in rugby? You know, like the helmets that the NFL has to wear now, where they put the little caps on top of the helmets.
Yeah.
But then sometimes like you'll see like, I think it's rugby dudes will like wear those as they're playing rugby.
It's like
a little soft cap.
It's the Peter Check helmet, you know?
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
But he kind of hurt his eyebrows, so I don't know how that's gonna solve the
I don't know if it's
trying to think of like how to protect that area without having to wear the glasses. I don't like the glasses.
It'll probably happen in our lifetime where someone that has had a bunch of concussions wears one of those helmets, like on a basketball court, you know? Like that'll probably happen.
It'll play for BYU.
Right.
I see it in my head that it's like Spencer Haas. Tyler Haas.
I see BYU or I see Cal, and it's like actually a part of his research that he's working on while he's playing on the team for Cal. Yeah.
I see like a Tyler Haas type dude wearing one of those.
I can see Tyler Haas wearing one of those. I miss that guy. Bring him back.
What other games? Arizona, Indiana. Did you watch that one?
That was a good one.
That was a fun game, man. Fun game. Not for Indiana people, but
I like the fight of Indiana. I like that they came back in this game, but let's just be honest. Arizona, there's nobody that's going to stop Ballo and Tubelis when they're playing like that. I mean, there really is not anyone that's going to stop them. The way that Tubelis runs the court is something. I mean, it's like
he's incredible.
He's giving me Tyler Zeller vibes.
He's incredible
with the way that he's running the court, and I'm like, this guy beat Trace Jackson Davis down the court, Titus, every single freaking time.
Yeah,
every time. And I was wondering when Trace Jackson Davis was going to finally figure it out and try to beat him down the court. He did not. And Tubelis got him, and Ballo was a tough matchup for him. Like him having race on Tubelis and him having to guard Ballo. I mean, that was just a bad matchup all around. You got 2 4s playing 2 5s.
Yeah,
that's a bad matchup.
Bad matchup.
and Arizona is the only thing that can stop Arizona is Kirk Risa.
You're right, and I guess
of his own volition, where he actively does stupid stuff. And Raftery the whole game kept calling him Krissa, kept calling him Krissa. That was what he couldn't say his name right. And I thought
because he's the Kerr part was probably he's mashing it all together. Kerr,
but I think he was doing it on purpose because Kirk Reese is not good enough to act the way that he does. Like Bill Raftery doesn't even know your name, yet you're acting like you run college basketball and you're JJ Redick or you're Grievous Vasquez. Or you're like one of these. Like no one knows you yet.
You're not one of them ones.
You're not one yet. You could be, but you're acting that way already. And I still think there's a situation with Arizona where they do have the best front court. I think they are the most talented team, but they could shoot themselves out of a game, any game.
Krisa,
and that worries me about Krisa.
I think Krisa is how they lose games. I think you could check them at times. Their defensive intensity.
Right. They love getting big leads.
They don't. Yeah. But you know, we love you said earlier about the recruiting class and how there's so many number ones. I'll throw another number one. You thought once upon a time Arizona was the number one team in the country. I will say this, they are absolutely number one most fun team.
Right.
No question about it. If you're a neutral fan and you just want to watch just a random basketball game and you're not sure which college basketball game to watch, just pick the Arizona game and it's going to be you're going to have a good time. You're going to have fun. I don't know if Arizona's going to win, but you're going to have fun watching them. They play fast. They are definitively the best offensive team in the country.
By far.
Yeah. I don't think it's
they put up 89 points.
Purdue's probably second, I guess. I don't even know who else would be in the conversation. Like Gonzaga's not. Gonzaga's usually up there. Creighton's usually up there. Villanova's usually up there.
But it's
not them.
We're talking I mean, they can run you out of the gym. Like I mean, that's kind of what was happening in this game early, and Indiana caught their breath.
I think one thing that stood out to me about Indiana, and I still think Indiana's good.
I do too.
I still think IU's going to be good. I've had to talk a lot of people off the ledge in Indiana, but I still think IU's going to be good. The problem that IU has is IU doesn't know what type of good team they want to be. IU doesn't. So you're watching this game, and all I'm thinking the whole time I'm watching it is, this is the game Arizona wants to play. They're getting up and down. It's like a lot of baskets being made. It's fun. Everyone's having fun. But I'm also like, this is what Arizona wants. And then it dawned on me as Arizona builds a big lead, and then IU comes back, and the yo-yoing's happened, and then Arizona, what did they win by? 14, 15, something like that?
14.
So Arizona wins by 14. It dawned on me at no point in time, at the whole time I'm saying this is the game Arizona wants, I don't even know what kind of game Indiana wants. You know?
Right.
So like, what is the alternative? As you're watching it, you're saying this is what Arizona wants. What does Indiana need to do to make it a game that this is what they want? I don't even know what the answer is. And I guess that's the next step for Indiana as this collective that Indiana has is, I think they all came into the season saying we are a good basketball team. And I think that assessment is correct. They have a ton of talent. They can be a lot of different things. You can catch them on one night and they're hitting a ton of shots, and I think there's a world where they run at the exact they run with Arizona in the exact same pace, and they're hitting that night. And you have Hood Schifino playing, and he's like, this is like an NBA scout game for him almost, and he's just going off, and the free loose vibes of this game, like it's just a playground for him, and he kills it, and Indiana wins. I think there is a timeline where that could have happened. But I think Indiana's problem is they don't know what, like, going into a game when you say this is the game that Indiana wants. What does that even look like? Are they trying to slow it down and feed the post and just feed Trace Jackson Davis all that?
I think that's what
they used to be. Right. I don't think that's what they want to be anymore, and I don't think they should be. I think they got to.
That's what he wants.
So I think like up until this year, they thought the way we have to win games is feed Trace Jackson Davis and muck it up on defense, and that's like how we're going to win. And now they realize, one, you're not going to win a lot of games that way. Two, we don't want to do that. We would rather play a more aesthetically pleasing style of basketball. But they don't know what they want. That's the issue, I think, with Indiana. I think they have no idea who they are.
I think there's an identity crisis, because I think that there is the Trace Jackson Davis, Race Thompson way of doing things, which is let's slow this game down. Let's post up. Let's run some high-low stuff with these two. And then when you watch this game was up and down. That's why Bates mattered. I thought Bates was great.
Bates was awesome. Yeah.
I think in that game, Galloway could play in that game. Bates could play in that game. Hood Schifino could play in that game. X could play in that game. I mean, he ended up having a double-double, so he ended up having a good night. I mean, Race had a good night when you look at the numbers, but in general, it felt like Indiana was upset that they were having to run with these bigs and play with these bigs up and down. And they were like, I want to like slow it down and let's set up the offense, da-da-da. And Arizona's like, no, we take the ball to the basket and we go. And, and they were like, it was like when we played golf and it was a lot of wind. And I was like, I don't even want to play.
Yes.
Right? That is like what it felt like with Indiana. They're like, oh, they're not playing. They're not even playing how we want to play. I don't even want to play. I don't want to play like this.
Yeah.
I don't want to be out here in this moment.
On top of that, you're absolutely right about that. But then the follow-up question I would then ask him would be, okay, so how do you want to play?
Right.
I don't think they have an answer.
I don't think so
Indiana
either.
has an answer. I think
I think the young guys have an answer. They want to play how Arizona was playing. I think like Bates and Hood Schifino and those guys can play that way.
Yeah, but like, that's not
what Trace Jackson Davis. Yeah, that's not what he wants.
No, I was watching watching the Houston Bama game. Even that had the tenor of for most of the game until Mark fouls out. That was the exact kind of like whether Houston was going to win or not. That was played on Houston's terms.
Yes,
this is a game that this feels like a game that Houston is imposing their will. This is exactly what they wanted coming in.
They dictated the terms.
And I think that's an issue with Indiana right now is you don't know what. And I guess like the optimistic approach to that is they are malleable. They are like I do think they could play in a muck it up game and succeed. They could win those. They could play there again. I do think they could play Arizona in the NCAA tournament and win a game 94 to 86.
Absolutely.
You know? I think they could.
I think they learned a lesson from this game. At least I hope so.
But I think moving forward, Indiana has to get to a point where they say, this is our plan A. We are trying to win these games in this manner.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can't, we'll adapt to what's thrown at us. But this is what we're trying. This is the will we are trying to impose. And right now, I don't think they're trying to impose any will. I think they're just saying we have a good team. Let's figure out what that looks like. Throw the team out on the floor and go. And away we go. So that's my read.
I like Galloway's confidence, by the way.
Galloway's awesome.
I'm really happy to see him playing.
I'm on the trade train for sure.
Yeah,
he's incredible. But
he impressed me in this game.
Arizona is not going away. If you thought Arizona losing at Utah was like, okay, we can be done with this team. I guess they're frauds. Maybe they were on that night, but they are very, very good. They're very good.
What's crazy right now is that if you ask me who do you want to see play each other as the top two teams, I want to see UConn play Arizona because I want to see Sonogo play Balo, and they're both from Mali.
We got Arizona, Tennessee on Saturday,
right? That's gonna be a good game.
Tennessee is. Can we talk about Tennessee, Maryland a little bit? Yeah. Ugly game. I don't really want to talk about the game. I guess
it was
as much. I want to talk about. I want to talk about Tennessee. Maryland was 2 for 24 from 3. Shout out to Will Warren and our old colleague Roger Sherman at the Ringer for putting this on my radar. That they were using the Spalding TF 1000, which is that I don't know how to describe it. It's a shitty basketball.
Yeah,
very shitty basketball.
As you said that, yeah.
And Maryland shot 2 for 23 from 3 in this game. And I don't know if the basketball is to blame or I don't know if Tennessee's defense is to blame. Tennessee plays elite defense. It's not just that they are good at the thing that stood out to me watching them. I'll say it this way: the way they recover is incredible. The way guys are beat. Maryland has open layups, and at the last second, like a late challenge comes to like either block the shot or Maryland was missing a lot of easy shots that I think Maryland fans probably came away from this saying, how are we missing all these easy shots? Like, this is so uncharacteristic. Give me another crack at Tennessee. We will make those easy shots. We will blow them out. We are definitely a better team. And Tennessee fans are coming away from that game saying, you miss the easy shots because every single team that plays us misses the easy shots. Because
that's what we do.
Yeah, it's what we do.
Yeah.
You thought it was easy, but at the last second, we challenge the shot in a way that you're not used to. And they rotate so well. They're so balanced offensively as well. They're an interesting team, dude.
And they have the guard play. Really, Vescovy. I mean, they have Ziegler. I mean, these guys are legit guards.
Ziegler got moved to the bench, I think, after the Colorado game.
Yeah,
Tyreek Key's starting for him, and I think the idea was to inject some offense because this is going to be the issue with this team all year. Is just like I'm going to trust their defense. They could give up 100 points to Arizona. Arizona could blow them out in Tucson. And Tennessee and Arizona could hit 12 threes and shoot 58% from the floor and just look like untouchable and win by 21. Hang 110 on them or something. I will not be concerned with Tennessee's defense at any point this season.
Right.
I could watch that whole game and I could say that's an anomaly. I'm not worried moving forward. Their defense is fine. The concern will always be the offense.
I mean, find me another team that won a game that shot 28% from the field, 33% from three, and 52% from the free throw line, and won the game.
Yeah.
You won't find it.
Yeah.
Because that is ridiculous. That is so porous. That is so bad. That is insane that could happen. But at the end of the day, like, it's kind of what it was with Bennett ball, where Virginia fans early on, they're like, I like watching the pack line defense. Right. I'm watching a different side of the field. If you're a Chicago Bears fan in the 80s, you're like, I don't want to see Jim McMahon. I want to watch our defense. Right. And that is what Tennessee fans are doing. They're like, watch how amazing we are on defense. Watch these rotations. Watch these steals. Like, watch how we play defense. And that is what the brand is, and hopefully we score enough on the other.
They're great on the offensive boards.
Right, they share great rebounding in general.
They share the ball well. They have a lot of balanced scoring. I think like 5 dudes are averaging double figures for them. So all of those things are nice, and I like that about their offense. They are still the masters of muck. They're still like every Tennessee game I've seen is just like an absolute muck fest. And that's how they like it, and that's talking about IU not having an identity. Tennessee has an identity. I'm sort of trying to figure out what I need to see from this Tennessee team to start like putting together the belief in them in March. Now, last year I said over and over that they're a good team at home. Can we see it outside of home? We have seen it outside of home.
Right.
We're gonna see a lot more opportunities. The SEC is super interesting to me, by the way. I think the SEC might be the most in terms of like the top level. Who's going to win the conference?
Right.
The SEC is the most interesting conference, I think. It's more interesting than the Big 12. I don't think the Big 12 has as many title contenders. I think the Big 10 is super deep, obviously. It's interesting in the sense that Nebraska can take Purdue to overtime, and like that jumps out at you. You're like, whoa, Nebraska, I thought they were dog. They're taking Purdue to like that's interesting that any given night anybody can beat anybody. But I don't know, man. Alabama's looking really good. Tennessee looks really good. Arkansas is a team Brazil's out for the year, but Arkansas is very much going to be heard from at some point in this SEC title race. Kentucky as well.
We can't write off Kentucky.
We have not written off Kentucky yet. I don't think Kentucky's as good as they were last year, but they still have the reigning national player of the year. Auburn's up there. Mississippi State, dude. I think Mississippi State could win the SEC.
Yeah,
I don't think they're the favorites. I don't think they should be the favorites.
Undefeated right now.
If Mississippi State is in a game back of first place in mid-February, I won't be surprised. Right. Someone else might be. At this point, I've seen enough to be like, no, that doesn't surprise me. LSU they're not going to win. At this point, we're getting down to the tier of teams that aren't going to win. But like even like a Florida and A&M and LSU and Ole Miss and like all these teams are Mizzou, dude. Mizzou was undefeated until Kansas beat their ass. But I don't know. The SEC is super interesting, and I guess as I was watching Bama and watching Tennessee, they're two teams that are flawed, very obviously flawed, but very obviously good. And it's just going to be fascinating to watch how it all shakes out, I guess. I don't know. That's why it's just the most interesting because it's teams that I say these teams, holy shit, these teams are so good and they're not even close to their ceilings yet. That's what I came away from this weekend watching Tennessee and Bama.
Yeah, Bama is going to be really scary, and especially when someone tells Brandon Miller that he has the green light and that everything starts with him, I think, and maybe that doesn't happen as he's a freshman, but Nate Oates eventually is going to have to give that kid the ball, and he is a star. He gives me Jabari Smith vibes, but he might be better.
That's a good call. Josiah Jordan-James, by the way, for Tennessee, has had knee problems and is like in and out of the lineup and didn't play against Maryland, and he's their best defender.
He's probably the most notable player.
Maybe their best player, honestly.
Right, yeah. That's the thing I was going to say with Tennessee is like they don't really have a guy. They do
not have a guy.
Yeah. I mean, Vescovy might be.
Vescovy
Ziegler can be.
Ziegler
was the leading scorer in this game off the bench. I mean,
they're bringing him off the bench now, which I don't love, but I don't hate. I kind
of like it.
I'm like, why is this man not starting? But then he still plays enough minutes and has enough of an impact on the game. I'm like, all right, well, if
and you have 2 point guards, so you're like, let's just stagger these guys.
Why not? It works. All right, I think that's it. Oh, Ohio State Rutgers. That happened. We recorded on Thursday, and then the Ohio State won at the buzzer.
I watched that live. I watched the whole. I mean, I had people texting me like, "Sorry, Mark. Tell Titus I'm sorry." This is before the game was over. The people were already writing. Like you said, the haters were they were ready to jump on.
Yeah.
Like I had Carolina people reaching out to me. Oh, I wish Ohio State was going to stay ranked when we play them.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, hit the shot.
Great news. We are.
I was like, great news. Not only they ranked, but they moved up.
Yeah, bring it on,
23.
Bitch. No, you're right, man. Who knew there's so many rules experts out there? That,
I can't deal with that. That's like because even in the moment when he hit the shot, I didn't immediately think to myself, "Oh, was he out of bounds?" And granted, we get it. The rules for the reasons. It makes sense, but at the same time, let it play.
Yeah.
And the argument was being made that he stepped out of bounds on the pass by the coach, you know what I mean, by the opposing coach. So a lot of people were saying, because he went right to the ref, and they were like, he's arguing that, da-da-da. It was like, no, he was arguing that the foot was out of bounds on the line, not that anyone came out of bounds and hit the shots.
I'm really scared to say anything because I'm going to be a hypocrite about, so I don't.
It's too close.
It's too close. Because there's going to be another instance this year where I argue the exact opposite.
Yeah, where it happens the other way.
It happens the other way, and I'm like, this is bullshit.
Caleb Love is out of bounds. He gets the pass.
But no, I 100%, and this is me being genuine. I did not know that was a rule that you can't, because I can't tell you how many times you see it in basketball, Tate, where a ball, it happens on the baseline, where a rebound happens, ball hits the rim, bounces on the ground. There's a guy who's standing underneath out of bounds, does a quick 1-2 double tap to get in bounds, and then grabs the rebound.
Yeah.
And it never is called. And I guess maybe that's a different situation because it's a shot. But the point is I guess I knew you can't just blatantly run out of bounds and do a baseline runner where you're just running,
football,
running into the stands with the band and then popping out on the other side. I guess that makes sense to me. But if you put a gun to my head and asked me what the rule was, I thought if you have both feet down, now then that becomes the second question is did he even have both feet down? Then you start getting into the screenshot pros where they're zooming in and pixelated and all that, and all that kind of thing. Anyway, I don't know, man. It feels good to be hated. I will say that, because if the roles are reversed, and Rutgers hits that shot, you're not hearing a peep from anybody. You're like, man, what a great story this Rutgers team is.
You're right.
And nobody's saying man, I feel terrible for Ohio State. It feels good to be hated. That's all I'm going to say. That means that's how you know you've arrived.
Yeah, that means that you're a real top 25 program.
Yeah, but everybody wanted to see the Buckeyes go down. I get it. You got a taste with football. We're not football, baby. We're not. I'm sorry to say. This basketball program's not the football program.
What's so sad is that they wouldn't even show the shot. Like I was watching SportsCenter after the fact, and they show the game, and then they immediately go to him out of bounds in the pixelated shot. I'm like, can you show him make the shot?
Trying to take this moment away from this poor kid, Tanner Holden, who didn't score a point the whole game.
Right.
Was lighting it up at Wright State last year. Transfers to Ohio State, isn't scoring as much as, it's been a weird year for him probably individually. Finally gets his moment. His this is why I transferred here. My this life decision I made makes so much sense now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so happy for this. I can't wait to see what the internet has to say, to be like, good job, Tanner. Well done. No, just haters everywhere, dude.
Everywhere.
That's the way it goes. So
congratulations to the Buckeyes, though. Number 23 in the country.
You take them where you can get them, man. I did love the message the Big Ten put out, which they thought they were helping, but all it is twisting the knife. Where the Big Ten's that was the wrong call. Rutgers should have won. And every Rutgers fan was like, so did we win? And they're like, no, you didn't win.
No, we will not change. That's like the NBA whenever they put out the ref report. They're like, Steph Curry traveled on the final play for the game-winning three. You're like, well,
so
just take it away.
Just take away the play then, right? They're like, no, we're not going to do that.
No, game over.
Unfortunately.
The game is finished. Unfortunately, that's game.
That cracked me up. So, no, that was fun. That was a I don't know. It was a this is why you watch December college basketball moment, though, for sure. This is sometimes you're watching these Rutgers is a good team. They're a muck off team though too. They are a big time muck team. But sometimes you're watching these games in December against a team that's not exactly the most glamorous, most fun, and Ohio State's not playing well, and you're kind of in away the ending, and I'm sitting on the couch just why do I do this to myself? As I saw the wheels falling off, why didn't I just turn off the TV or go for a walk? Why do you do this? Why? And then you hit the shot and you're like, I'll be damned. That's why.
Yeah.
And next time around, we're going to play like shit against Penn State at home. And I'm going to say, Tanner Holden, might run out of bounds and then catch it and hit a 3 at the buzzer.
That's
I got to keep watching.
Coach running back. Same play. That's what we do.
Shout out to Holtman, by the way. Very Jay Wright reaction to the shot where he didn't really do much. Because I think in his mind, he was like, he was out of bounds.
He's like, that
He's like, I saw it. That's not going to count. No, Holtman was like, that is not the play I drew up. Like,
yeah.
Not running the play I want him to run.
Yeah.
Do you think you had to run sprints? Do you think the guys had to run sprints because Holtman was like, that's not what we drew up at all?
That would be very Coach K move. I just thought it was a great moment. And it was very like a pure college basketball chaos moment. And then it just sucks that immediately because of Twitter and everything else, it was like, let's analyze the tape. Also, you didn't know Rule B37CF21 that said this.
It is.
I
do think if you're screenshotting, I do think the rule book is like the dictionary where if you're screenshotting it in an argument on Twitter, you've already lost.
Right.
Whether you're right doesn't even matter anymore.
No, it's like you're at the point. You're at the point that you're screenshotting and you're like arguing this out as if we're in the court of law. Like you've lost.
Yeah.
You've lost your way.
Yeah. So if you're screenshotting the definition of, I don't know, condescending, you're like, I said the word I chose was condescending. I did not say they are rude. I said they are condescending. It is different. There's a difference. And you're like screenshotting the definitions and arguments. You know, it doesn't matter if you're right. You've already lost. That's where I was at with the rule book thing. And I think also if the roles are reversed, I'm going to say the exact opposite. And I'm going to say that Rutgers was out of bounds.
And I think that's totally fair because that's what fandom is.
That's what fandom is.
That's what it is, baby.
Any shout outs before we go?
Yeah, quick shout out to Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech won in the Barclays Center against Oklahoma State this weekend. And we talked about on our show.
It's a doubleheader with the Maryland-Tennessee, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was the first game. So anyways, Virginia Tech is a team that now ranked in the top 25. I think they should have been in the top 25, so I'm happy to see that. Shout out to Mr. November getting the wins. But also, we talked about MSG. Who owns MSG? We have gotten the people riled up online. Villanova fans are attacking Connecticut fans. There's been some Kentucky fans jumping in saying they actually own MSG because all the Knicks players, I guess, that played at Kentucky.
Right. Okay.
And that connection. I have no idea how that works. But a lot of conversation about who owns MSG. I'm going to leave that to the side because I don't care. Who owns Barclays Center? Because it's not the Brooklyn Nets.
Okay.
And after Virginia Tech beat Coach K in the ACC tournament championship last year, famously did not beat anybody else on the way, just were in the championship game and beat Coach K in that championship game. I think they might own Barclays Center. I think it's Virginia Tech building.
That's a great call.
I want to put that Virginia Tech is Barclays Center.
Or Jay-Z.
Ooh. I don't know.
Who else could even be in the running?
Nobody, because everyone is like, it's very flavor of the month is what I would say. Who owns the Barclays Center, right? It's who's ever hot at the moment. Owns the Barclays Center.
It's Virginia Tech.
Right now, it's the Hokies. So there you go. Shout out to the Hokies.
I want to shout out. Did I have shout out? Oh, Rick Pitino to Georgetown. I was thinking about that the other day. I typed that out and hit send on a text to somebody. I just put Pitino to Georgetown and hit send. I just want to see what it looked like. I just wanted to see. And I think it
looks good.
I need to Photoshop it, I think. I think I need to my Photoshop skills, dude. I don't want to pat myself on the back too much, but holy dude, I'm in the zone.
Are you better than Jim at this point?
I'm one of the ones right now with the Photoshop. I really am. Like I'm seeing the ball so well.
Tipton edits.
Yeah.
Watch out.
Dude, I'm seeing the ball
Titus edits.
so well. I'm raking right now with the Photoshop. I did one to you, dude. You fell victim to it. That's what I'm doing. Friendly fire, dude.
I never know when you're online.
I'm just I do that too. Like I'll just like log off for like 3 days, and then suddenly I pop up and I'm just like making Photoshop.
Titus is online. He's back.
He's back. I did I'm on my phone last night watching the Chargers game, and
what a game for my Chargers.
Gottlieb tweets a picture that he's at the game, and then you tweeted
I
a
hate
video.
that Gottlieb is Gottlieb a season ticket holder? Because that's the difference. That's a different level.
And I didn't mean for it to be that mean, dude, but I put your head on Gottlieb's kid and then tweeted it at you.
Yeah.
And I thought it was like a ha-ha kind of funny thing.
No.
But I had people reacting. They were like, dude, that's vicious what you just did to Tate. And I was like, I guess it was, and I was double check, and then I was like, I don't want to delete it, and then I was like, should I reach out to you? So I'm sorry, buddy. I'm
It's all
apologizing.
right. It's more just like I don't want people to think Doug's my dad. Doug is not my dad.
No, man, I'm just like I did this Photoshop.
You've gotten lost.
I'm a loose cannon, man. I really am, and I'm sorry. I just want to apologize. I didn't mean for you to fall victim. You fell into the crosshairs accidentally. But I got to work on a Rick Pitino to Georgetown Photoshop. Apologies to Louisville people.
It's over.
I'm trying to meme him to Louisville. I am, but at the same time, I'm just trying to. If I'm being completely honest, I'm just trying to meme Rick back to prominence. I'm trying to meme Rick back to a program that he can win a national title at. And I don't know. I think Georgetown's one of them.
And a perfect example of why we have to do this is our friend Parker, CBK Report. He is just shooting out memes, right? And he's just like asking questions. And one of the ones I just saw right now, best coaches of the decade in college basketball. He has 5 on the list.
Okay, let me guess. Jay Wright.
Jay Wright, yes.
Tony Bennett.
Yes.
Roy Williams.
Yes.
He probably could put Coach K on there.
Yes.
And then the 5th one has to be Rick Pitino.
John Calipari.
Parker, buddy.
Parker.
And
that is why the meme matters, because we have to put Rick Pitino. We have to get not only the 2013 banner back, but we have to get Rick Pitino back in the zeitgeist. We have to get people to understand.
And also Parker, I thought you're supposed to be the chosen one, dude. This is a great opportunity to throw Chris Beard on there and then just step back
today.
And today. Or like Juwan Howard, and then step back and let chaos unfold, I thought you were the troll god.
Right. No,
oh my God.
This is too straight.
This is too
like,
if you're going to play it straight, you got to be right.
Right.
If you're going to be wrong,
be hilarious.
Be hilarious.
Right. Those are the rules.
Dude, let's make that shirt. If you're going to be wrong, be hilarious. Rick Pitino to Texas?
Oof.
Rick Pitino to Texas?
I don't even.
Does it sound right?
Before the Madison Square Garden Illinois game, I said to you, Texas, it's a little too good to be true, right?
Icarus.
And sometimes those things happen, but also Illinois is another. They have their own problem.
Yeah, dude.
Brad Underwood? What happened in Madison Square Garden? Both of those teams have imploded.
Illinois is Illinois, dude. Illinois is nothing will. Yeah, that doesn't. That's the point I was trying to make about Illinois last time we were talking about it. Was that's just who Illinois is. It's gonna be a lot of farts, and a lot of.
Coach, what do you think about Terrence Shannon's leadership?
He's got to get the Leslie Nielsen fart machine.
Right.
Brad Underwood's got to get one of those.
Man.
Put that to use.
I thought that was great. Shout out to Brad Underwood.
Rick Pitino to Texas might be. If Rick Pitino and Matthew McConaughey have their sights set on the same woman at a bar, who's going home with her?
Both.
A little devil situation.
Rick Pitino is not going to go to a public school. That's what I've been told by my sources. He will not. The next job will not be at a public school.
Georgetown.
So Georgetown is why I think you have a real chance. Yeah. Sorry, Louisville. And also, I heard through the grapevine that Louisville will not fire Kenny Payne no matter what at the end of this year. By the way.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I was told.
God, dude. I'm sorry, Louisville.
Right.
But that's what goes back to what Rutherford was saying. Is I think you're just hoping he gets the message. I think you got to how do you? This is a fascinating series that I would love to see. Is the behind the scenes of Louisville people just treating Kenny Payne slightly don't be evil to him. He's not a bad guy. He's a good guy. You don't want to
very good guy.
You don't want to graffiti his house and say get out of here and you don't want to vandalize his make his life you don't want to be actually mean. But at the same time, is there a way you can make him slightly uncomfortable at all times? Passive aggressive, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Is there a way to be slightly passive aggressive towards Kenny Payne to where he comes to his own conclusion where he's I don't know if I want to be here anymore. But you don't want to piss him off because he's not a bad person. You don't want to, what I mean?
He's a good person.
So finding that line, I would be fascinated at a YouTube series. That's content, dude. It's maybe Rutherford should do that. It's today I'm going to, I don't even know what he could do.
He should just tweet every day how many days it's been since their last win.
Yeah.
And then he tags at Kenny Payne.
Yeah.
So every day on social media,
and
Louisville basketball social media guy is it's been this many days, coach.
I was thinking Kenny Payne takes his new suit he bought to his tailor, and the tailor makes one leg 2 inches longer than the other.
Wow. He's it's subtle things.
Yeah, it's like
shots.
that.
Yeah.
And then Kenny Payne's damn, dude, I used to like this tailor, but I don't think this tailor's
his parking spot gets moved.
Yes. his parking spot's moved slightly, and it's a little inconvenient. It's a compact spot now.
Yeah,
yeah. And he's got to every time he gets out of his car, he's got to suck in his stomach to like get through the, you know.
He's like, I don't want to do this.
And we do stuff like that to him, where he just slowly is like, life has gotten a little harder in Louisville.
I don't like it.
I don't like it.
I should go back to the Knicks.
Go back to the Knicks. Yeah.
And then Louisville owns the Knicks.
Yeah, like his favorite sandwich shop, like I don't know. I'm not asking you to spit in his food.
No.
I'm just asking you to.
He doesn't like onions,
make it
and you keep putting onions.
You make like a little bit. Yeah, there's like 1 or 2 onions on there. It's like, I don't know how those got in there, Coach.
Pickles.
I'm sorry.
You're just putting pickles on there.
You put pickles on the sandwich, and then he goes, "I didn't want pickles." And instead of making a new sandwich, you take the pickles off, put the bun back on,
but it has pickle juice on it.
It still tastes like pickle juice. Yeah. So you solved the problem, and you've helped him, but technically, he's like still tasting the pickle.
Yeah, and he's like, I wish pickles never touched this bread.
These are genius ideas, dude. That's how you run Kenny Payne out of town.
It's got to be kind because he's a good guy. But yeah, I mean, something has to give at some point.
I think that's it. I don't know if I had any other shout outs. Is that all you got?
I think that's all I got.
You got anything, Tyler? You sit over there. I was
going to say, you got to give Kenny Payne some more time to hit rock bottom. How can you expect them to get better until they've officially hit rock bottom?
Yeah, how long?
We should do that. We should keep up what is rock bottom?
Is this rock bottom?
Yeah, is this rock bottom? Right.
And the answer is always no.
And it's like you just keep adding bullet points, right? Like loses to Florida A&M by 17 at home. You know, that's the next one coming up.
I do have a shout out though.
Okay, go ahead.
Bryce James signed with Clutch Sports today, taking a page out of the Brad Calipari Earn Not Given playbook. Congrats to Bryce. You might have heard of his dad. He had a cameo in the movie Trainwreck.
Future Buckeye Bryce James?
Wow.
Yeah, is Bronny on the hot seat? Is everyone just... I don't think Bronny has a deal with Clutch. Was that saying about him?
There you go. Point. Yeah, well, I guess they think Bryce is an NBA talent. So they've let Bronny sign with Nike and be a college NIL kid, but Bryce is for the NBA.
Should we, at Madison Square Garden, we're going to have press passes. We can go to the post-game press conference.
Should we ask Chris Holtmann about Bronny?
Instead of you doing the message to the haters to Holtmann, because you already did it in Maui.
Yeah, he's already had a message.
Maybe we save that for if one of the other coaches wins. You know, whoever wins the UCLA Kentucky game, that could play actually, because
Calipari,
because they both were, you know, they both have hit a speed bump at some point this season. Then you say, message to the haters, are you back? I asked Holt if Ohio State beats North Carolina. I asked Holt, like, is this a big step in the Bronny James recruitment? Like, do you think a commitment is imminent now?
Yeah.
Like, now that you beat
Make
North
sure
Carolina,
you say imminent.
Is the commitment imminent, Coach?
Yeah, that's all you have to say.
And then watch him squirm.
Yeah, he's like, it's like, damn it, Mark.
It makes a personal plea to me. He's like, I've been nothing but nice to you.
Yeah.
Why would you?
He's like, Mark, why are you asking me that? We just had a nice win.
Good shout out, Tyler. That was well done.
Shout out to Bryce James.
All right, I think that's it.
It's better than Jim going no.
No. Tyler, you want Jim's job?
Just
Jim's on the call,
warm.
by the way. I found out last week. Jim texted. Jim, are you here? Can you talk? Would you?
Yeah, I'm here.
Can the people hear you when you talk? Are you mic'd up?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hi, Jim.
Did you know Tyler's from Louisville, by the way? He didn't bring that up.
Oh, really?
He's got the inside info.
Yeah, wait, you didn't know that?
I didn't know that, Tyler.
Oh, yeah, I'm from Louisville.
Oh.
So is it funny to you, Tyler?
So this is he's also embracing. I'm rooting. I don't have any allegiance to Louisville or Kentucky because I moved there when I was in middle school, but I'm rooting for Louisville to go 1-31 with that one win over Kentucky. That's the perfect scenario for me, and I think honestly their fan base. Like if you were to ask a Louisville fan at this point, would you rather go 10-22 or 1-31? But that one win is over UK. That's something that you can have. You can hold on to that for a really long time.
Right. Our worst team in history beat you guys.
That's why Tyler's on the show, though.
Yeah,
I mean, like this guy
gets
content.
It.
That's content right there. That's the best content you could ask for. It's 1-31.
That's
the win over Kentucky.
And how can Cal answer for that? He can't.
Yeah. Jim, do you have a shout out?
No.
Perfect. And that's the perfect place to end.
Well done. All right, that's it. That's the show. Fun weekend coming up. We have one more show before the weekend. We're going to do a show Thursday. Bama Memphis game. We got Maryland UCLA. Some other games to keep an eye on. So we will certainly do that. But we'll be back on Thursday. Thanks for listening, everybody. We will see you then.
Thanks.